So, Forza Motorsport is out, and I just had to get my hands on it. I've actually never played a Forza Motorsport game before. I played Forza Horizon, but not never a motorsport. I tried playing Forza Motorsport 7, but it never really worked for me. But so going into this, I've done a few of the single player stuff, and I'm not the best at Forza Motorsport. I understeer a lot, and you'll see that my races didn't quite turn out the way they probably should have. So going into Hakone, or Hakone, however you pronounce the track, this is my first time on the track, so I had no idea what to expect. I started off on the hards because this is just practice, and I didn't know if tire degradation carried over between race events and practice sessions. So going into this, I actually understeered a lot, and just trying to get a feel for the track, trying to see where you could push, where to brake. I'm not really used to the physics and handling here, obviously, as you can tell. So for my first lap, I put down a 1 minute 16.4, and then on the next lap, where I kind of knew the track a bit better, it was a 1 minute 10.3, which I guess wasn't too bad. I'm actually not too familiar. There's slight contact there, and again, but I'm not too familiar with the top splits, especially for this track. So after putting down a few practice laps, I went into qualifying, but I was on the mediums instead of the softs. So I decided I had a pit for the softs. So after that quick warm-up lap, which was it was a 1 minute 16, it was time to do my push lap. And I'm actually obviously playing on controller. I don't really like how it feels with a wheel. I have a Logitech G923, and I don't know, it felt a bit like the Crew Motorsport a little bit, just with a bit more responsiveness in the wheel, a bit the force feedback. But I'm on controller here. So going into this turn, this braking part actually felt a little good, but I don't think it was as good as it could have been given that understeer bit. Yeah, I went with controller because Forza Motorsport is supposed to be the one where you're able to be on par whether you're on controller or wheel. So finishing this lap right here, going down the pit straight, the time I get is a 1 minute 8.7, which was, I guess it was pretty good. So, and then skipping ahead to the final lap here, going down the main straight, I improved by a few tenths of a second. It's actually a 1 minute 8.3, close to a 1 minute 8.4, and that's good enough to put me on provisional pole. Well, not really, because it was actually good enough to put me on pole. So for my first ever race in Forza Motorsport, I'm on pole. So going into the first race, the pressure is immediately on. I'm starting on the medium tires because I heard that the drop off for the tires is really crazy, and that softs aren't really the best to go to in these short 7-lap shootouts. So as you see, I understeered, go in too deep, which caused me to go wide, and I lose second, which was not how I wanted to start off my Forza Motorsport racing career. But I'm doing a good job. We're pulling away from the pack from third, and able to keep up with first. And going into this turn, I do a good braking zone, go down the inside, make it stick. As second pass on the third, as you see someone going off into the shadow realm there. So not a bad start. Lost first, but I was able to quickly gain it back and able to start pulling a comfortable lead of about 1.4, but that's coming down pretty quick. And then on the next lap, it's actually a 2.2 second gap, but it's starting to come down a bit again. Not too familiar with the car, not too familiar with the track, game, or physics, for that matter of fact. As you can see here, struggling to make the turn. But second place is kind of gaining on me, but not that good. But cutting here to the third lap, he's like half a second and gaining behind me. But we have a 3-second gap to third, so we can like fight it out. So we're not under that much pressure, but here he goes shooting past me maybe a little bit too fast past me, but here I go down the inside again, sticking to my line, my braking point. And, I go a little bit too deep, which allows him to get the run on the inside for the next turn. And there I am, slightly losing the rear just a bit by sliding, and he didn't slide, but I think it's because he was more on the inside, didn't have to press on the gas that much. So going down the main straight, he just starts to gain on me a bit, but I managed to stay in his slipstream. But he's just pulling away from me. I'm pulling just a slight bit away from third. So going into the fifth lap, he's pulled a 3-second gap on me, and third is I managed to pull like a 4-second gap, but they're slowly but surely bringing that gap down. So here is where my race started to unravel, because somehow, someway, I pressed the pit assist button on my controller. I didn't know what that meant. I thought it was going to be like when you go into the pits that'll take over, completely forgetting that entering the pits is a cutscene. I just completely forgot. Thought it was like the Codemasters F1. So you could imagine my confusion here when I started to slow down, and by the time I realized it's because it was taking me to the pits because I had the pit assist enabled, it was already too late. I couldn't disable it. So I threw away an easy second place. I decided I had nothing to lose, so I just decided to pit for the softs, just try to cut through the field or whatever, and I ended up coming out in 10th. I don't know why there has to be like a pit assist button anyways when you're just driving into the pits, and it'll just take over. It's not like the F1 games where you have to slow down to not break the speed limit, to turn on the pit assist. So yeah, I don't know why that's there. So here I am all the way in the back now, but luckily, because it's me, I'm able to gain just a few positions here, as I don't know what that was right there. It could have been a ramming attempt, or he probably just forgot a brake or something. But there I am in 7th. Wasn't able to keep the position after that move, but I managed to stay right behind 6th position here. Going down the main street, I had to pull off slightly, but it wasn't good enough. As you see me for a bit pressing the pit assist button out of frustration as I lose 6 positions. That was an easy second place, but I threw it away, and it wasn't even my fault. It kind of was. I should have known better. So for the next race, I had to do it. Laguna Seca. But oddly enough, it was a short layout. I didn't even know the short layout of this track existed. But before going into that, I learned from my mistakes, so I deleted the binding for the pit assist entry because, I don't need it. It doesn't need to be there. So I'm pretty decent at Laguna Seca, so I had some pretty high hopes for this race. So going into the practice session here, we start off at the rainy curve, and off we go, sir. Good day. That one was actually not my fault. That one was completely on the AI. I'm surprised I wasn't ghosted. He wasn't ghosted, just straight up sent right into the back. So going into trying to start my first practice lap, there's already not a good sign. understeering going down the pit straight. So that wasn't good. I never understeer at that corner, at least not to that extent. So going in here, I was really interested to see how a short track layout was. So completely skipping, you're going past. We go into this back straight, I think is like back part of the track, which I'll be honest, I didn't even know existed. I'm pretty sure there's nothing but sand back there. So my mindset going into this was try to use the lines that I know. So right here, I realized that wasn't going to be viable, because I use the same line there that I use in Gran Turismo, Assetto Corsa, Automobilista 2, and I never go off track there. Like, I use the same amount of braking force, acceleration. Actually, I didn't even touch the accelerator. I just braked and used the accelerator where you normally would, and I was just sent off. So not a good sign, but I just decided to go in qualifying anyways, and luckily there was no poor soul there to send into the Shadow Realm. So I still used similar braking points, my points of reference that I use in like everywhere else. So I had no idea how this was gonna go. Had 3 laps to try to like put a decent lap. So going into this, we go into this, I don't know, I guess back straight, since like the back part of the track no one ever sees. You know, just completely cutting the Andretti hairpin, all the inner parts of the track. So going here, I brake a bit more, don't really press the gas, and I still managed to go off track. But luckily there's no penalty, my time isn't avoided. But for the corkscrew, I still kind of use a similar braking reference. You know, as soon as you see that curve, just like hit the brakes. So I go wide, don't really press the brake, you don't really need to. You just kind of like coast. So here we are again. I actually had just done this race the day prior in Gran Turismo 7. So I was then like coming back to this track. I had just been on this track, but this isn't Gran Turismo, it's Forza. It's completely different handling physics. So coming across the line, it's good enough for a 110.9, which was actually the best I was able to do. Yeah, so it was good enough to put me in 6th. So a 1:10.9, which is actually pretty fast for the track, things considered. That's around the lap time I get in a Assetto Corsa in an F1 car when I'm not really pushing, which is about like a 1:08, 1:07. But then again, this is a short layout of the track. You're not going down the full track. So going into the race, for some reason, I started off on the softs. You know, I don't know what. I just thought that, you know, I would be able to make it around the whole 7 laps with the soft tires on. But considering my driving style around this track, we're gonna quickly see that it did not work. So going in here, we managed to avoid any first turn tomfoolery, mostly because it was just straight. There was no, you didn't go down the Andretti hairpin. You know, going here, you know, I was slightly better than the person in front, getting just a bit of time, just enough to be able to go side by side into the Andretti hair, or to the corkscrew. And you know, there's just a slight bit of contact there, even further contact there, which pushes me off the track, and it gives Kid Flash Ellie a 3-second time penalty. Whether that was deserving or not, up to you. But going in here on the first straight, that one was completely on accident. You know, and then that one was also on accident, but unfortunately it gives me a 2.25 second time penalty. So what happened there, I was, you know, I guess I like overcooked it, overshot it, and then just like sent it to the side of him. And that's a common theme, not braking enough, understeering. It's just the way Forza goes, at least for me. As you see here, understeer off the track again. And I have no idea what's going on. I never do this badly at Laguna Seca, especially considering the amount of like miles, hours, sessions I put into like practice sessions here at like in Assetto Corsa and Gran Turismo, mostly Assetto Corsa. But going into the red house straight, me and Iru Power go down, and look at that, completely intentional, turned in on me, probably trying to butt me off the track, but he took himself off too. But I think I got the worst of it because I just went like completely straight off, and it's enough for him to keep the position and walk away without a penalty. So I dropped down to 9th. So this was already where it wasn't going very good. And there goes Dr. Hugo, bumping into the back of him. He cut the corkscrew, and then he cuts for the rainy curve. So not the cleanest racing that we're seeing here. And then there goes Iru Power into the sand realm of Monterey Bay. And there goes Hugo, almost facing the completely wrong way on a straight. Don't know what that was about. So here we go on the pit straight, able to gain on Iru Power thanks to that mishap he had, and also because a bit of that slipstream from Dr. Hugo. So going into lap 4, I'm right in the thick of this back of the pack midfield battle between Iru and Dr. Hugo. So going into the Raha straight, Dr. Hugo brakes and suddenly, for some reason, finds himself turning right on the left. Not something you want to be doing, obviously, in the middle of a race. But I'm not one to talk since I go off track on the very next race. It's unfortunately a very common theme repeating throughout this entire video, and even worse throughout this race. So I find myself in dead last, which is 7th because everyone behind me quit. But luckily for me, it wasn't too long before, something happens. These two take each other out off the track. It puts me in a 5th, so not that bad on paper at least, since I started in 4th, but the tire degradation was really hurting me already. And then the next lap, I'm 11 seconds, not being able to keep up as I go off track again. But, some reason, I didn't notice this at the time, but I guess whoever was in 4th quit. So I'm back in my starting position, but I'm not out of the woods yet, because I have that 2.2 second time penalty. 5th is 4.5 seconds behind me, and my tires are going off. So I'm going to have to find a way to bring the car home, and while keeping 4th within these next few corners. But as you can see on the timing charts, 5th is quickly gaining on me because of this tire degradation, and it doesn't help that I went off. So yeah, that 4 second time gap quickly became a 1.10 of a second gap, and it doesn't help that I just kept going off, and there he is, 4 second gap to basically 4th in the matter of 3 corners at least. So not optimal at all. So I needed to do one more race to get out of the introduction series. So I threw a quick qualifying lap on Hakone, 108.2, a 10th quicker than the first time I was here, but I was also running a lighter fuel load. But it was good enough for 4th. And for some reason, I don't know why, I just decided to do the softs again. I don't know, I just do it to myself at this point. But I started at 4th, able to quickly push myself in a 3rd, and so far everything's looking pretty good. We're all still bunched up though, especially coming into here, still bunched up, but much closer to the 2nd and 1st. So going in here, I don't know why I'm just struggling on this track. I basically accidentally put myself on the outside. I was trying to stay in the slipstream of 2nd place, but he just kind of basically turned in on me like I wasn't there. Because of that contact, I'm able to move up in a 2nd. But first it already has a 1.7 gap, and here comes 2nd, and then I get rammed from behind, which in turn pushes me in a 2nd place. And luckily there's no penalty awarded for that one. But Dom, the one who rammed me, gets a half-second penalty, but there he goes, completely shooting past me somehow. And then he's just trying to make the move to go to second, but second like shuts the door on him somehow, but not enough. The second Doms keeps his line, eventually able to get into second, but he does have that half-second time penalty. So as long as we stay close to him, we should be fine. So cutting into this next lap, I have no idea what that was. He completely cut the track trying to pass me, and it gives him a half-second penalty. You know, Forza really needs like a rear view mirror, because like I had no idea he was there. Yeah, he just like completely cut that part of the track, and there was contact, so yeah, it was completely avoidable. And there goes Monkey Business, overshooting it, which allows me to gain third. So going into this corner, I think at least I do a decent job of defending that one, and I get to the inside of, or the outside of the next corner. Is that the outside or inside? I don't know, but going on the pit straight, Monkey Business riding my slipstream is able to shoot past me as Dom's just completely keeps pulling away. So it's gonna be, this was actually a pretty good back and forth between me and Monkey Business. We were like, I think for the most part we were like racing cleanly, racing fair, giving each other enough space. So here we went side by side. I was on the inside, so I was able to lunge basically, but like I understeered, but I somehow managed to keep the position and move in a third. So right here I try to give him enough space, but I decided against it, I should have kept my line. Could have avoided that contact if I did, and my front left was already starting to give out, which is why that second contact happened. And moving just a bit ahead, both of my front tires were going off, so it was going to be harder to like make moves stick, go for like some crazy moves, which is why I should have just gone on the mediums. This is where my race started to unravel again. You see, fifth is 1.3 seconds behind me, but he has a half-second penalty. Third is 0.8 seconds and counting, and by this point it was 1.7. Fourth was slowly but surely gaining on me, and my tire degradation was bad, as we're about to see here. I basically don't even stop. Like I was full flat out on the brake pedal, or the brake trigger, since I was on controller, and I couldn't make it stick. And going in here, I lose another position. So this was not going great at all. And we still had another lap to go through, and even though seventh was like 7 seconds behind me, what we saw in the last race, that gap could quickly come down, and that was at the very end of the track. We still had another lap to go. So he could very much still make the move on me if he's fast enough, but somehow I managed to not bottle it or anything and keep sixth. But yeah, none of these races went good at all. I lost positions in all of them, didn't gain any positions, racked up a good amount of penalties, so not a good start to my Forza Motorsport career. Hopefully, as I keep playing more, I get better, but like I have no idea, because like this game understeers like crazy, more so than Gran Turismo 7, and that one was pretty bad. So yeah, hopefully as time progresses, the handling gets better, or at least I get better. So yeah, I expect a Gran Turismo 7 video to come out soon. See ya.